On today's program, David Parsons takes us on a tour of the city of David, where we learn of its discovery and significance to Christians. We visit Save a Child's Heart Children's Recovery House in Israel. We visit Capernaum and learn about St. Peter's House. And we meet ICEJ Canada reps Morgan and Diane Sharp. Psalm 122, verses 1 to 7. I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet shall stand within your gates, O Jerusalem." Jerusalem is built as a city that is designed for a multitude, where the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, as a decree of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Lord. There are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, and security within your towers.
Today I'm here at the ancient city of David, the place where Jerusalem sprang up over 4,000 years ago in the time of Abraham. And over the many centuries since, Jerusalem has grown into a large city, and it's been fought over so many times that the original city from the days of King David got buried under layers of rubble and was lost to history. But it was rediscovered in modern times and has been giving up many amazing secrets that are proving the Bible to be true. And on today's program, we're going to look at how the city of David was rediscovered and the incredible impact it has had ever since. To help us with this, we're going to turn to Zev Ornstein, Director of International Affairs for the City of David Foundation. Zev, it's great to have you here on Encounter Israel. This original city of David, an important piece of Jewish history, and yet it got so lost under the rubble of Jerusalem, people thought it was over on Mount Zion. How did it get rediscovered and who did it?
So up until 150 years ago, when people think, where is the original biblical city of Jerusalem, the city of King David, King Solomon, the prophets like Isaiah and Jeremiah, there's one answer. The answer is not where we're standing right now. The answer, everyone believes, as you said, is Mount Zion, the old city of Jerusalem, until the year 1867. 1867, Queen Victoria of England wants to discover the treasures of the Bible, like the Ark of the Covenant. So she sends a man by the name of Captain Charles Warren to the Holy Land to find those treasures. And she sends him to Jerusalem, because if you're going to search for the treasures of the Bible, you're going to go to Jerusalem. Charles Warren comes here and he ascends to Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, the place where the Temple of Solomon stood, the place where the book of Genesis tells us the binding of Isaac took place. Except in 1867, the Ottomans are here. And they say, Charles, we're sure you're a great guy, but you're not going to dig up the Temple Mount. Now, Charles Warren has a problem because he can't go back to the Queen empty-handed. So he says, if I can't excavate the biblical Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, I'll do the next best thing, which is to excavate near it. So he comes down the slopes of Mount Moriah, and he's walking through the Kidron Valley just down below us. And he comes across the ancient Gihon Spring, mentioned in the Bible. And he sees that the spring is flowing through an ancient man-made tunnel. He doesn't realize it, but he begins to walk through the tunnel, engineered by the biblical King Hezekiah, dating back some 2,700 years. And he comes up with a theory. He says everyone believes that the original biblical city of Jerusalem is located up inside the walls of the old city. He says, I believe, based on where the water is and based on some clues from the Bible, that the original city of David is located outside the walls of the old city. Except when he announces this theory to the world, everyone thinks he's crazy. However, over the next 150 years, where we're standing right now, here in the city of David, it becomes clear that the original biblical city of Jerusalem, the place where Jerusalem began, is in fact the city of David, just outside the walls of the old city.
It's been exciting to hear all this from you, Zev. Thanks for being on Encounter Israel.
It's a privilege to be here.
So we see that the rediscovery of the original city of David has had a huge impact. It's proven the Bible to be true. It's helped verify Israel's history as a great kingdom of the ancient world. And the city of David has become a magnet for drawing the Jewish people back home from exile. Christians are also being drawn here to reconnect with the Jewish roots of our faith. So make plans to come visit the city of David yourself, and also make sure to join us next time here on Encounter Israel.
Up next, we learn about Save a Child's Heart Children's Recovery House in Israel.
We're in Holon at the Save a Child's Heart residence for the children, and here I have Laura, the house mother.
Hello,
And Laura, where are you from?
I'm originally from Northern Ireland.
And how long have you been the house mother here?
I've been the house mother for 14 years.
So you've seen a lot of activity and a lot of children from a lot of nations
Yes.
come for surgery and then recover from surgery before they go home. Tell us about some of the children here today.
Currently, the children I have staying with us are from Ethiopia, Tanzania, Romania, Kosovo, Uganda. Children are all the time arriving and returning home, and new children coming. It's nice to see the children, after all their treatment, that they're feeling good and that they're ready to return home to their families healthy and start a new life, really.
It's quite critical, the house here. This is built specifically for Save a Child's Heart. There's a lot involved with people coming here and living here. You're making a home away from home.
Yes.
So what other things do you do other than helping to get them to and from the airport?
Well, like you said, really this is a home away from home, and we make every effort to make it feel like that for the mothers and the children that are living here. We have a great volunteer crew with us who are really...
One from Toronto, one from Australia, yes.
From all over North America, really, and from Europe, and they come every day to volunteer, to be with the children. You know, we have a schedule to the day. Anybody that needs to go to the hospital, we usually send them over about 8:30, 8:45, and then the volunteers arrive at 9. They do all their activities, puzzles, drawing, nail painting, all sorts of creative things. And then 12 o'clock, it's kula time. Kula is a Swahili word for lunch, which we teach all the children. It's a very important word. Everybody sits and eats together. I think it's very important. It's not a hospital facility. We don't do any medical treatment. So they need to feel comfortable.
You want it to be as normal as possible.
Exactly.
But they're meeting all other kids. And it doesn't matter that, I guess, the love of being here as a volunteer and the activities transcends the language barrier.
Of course, yeah. And we have a little girl who's actually, her English, she's not fluent in English, but she's learned quite a few words in English, which, you know, a lot of the children do. And she knows a few words in Hebrew. And with children, it's easy. You can manage without a language. You know, the common language is using your hands, using just your expressions. And, you know, they know what you mean, or we know what they want.
Laura, do you have you'll have many, many stories. Is there one
Many.
that's outstanding that you'd like our Canadian audience to hear about?
Well, I remember many years ago, a little girl came from Zanzibar, and when she arrived, they wanted her to go directly to the hospital. She had a very distended stomach, but unusually distended. You know, nearly like seeing a 12-year-old 9 months pregnant.
I see.
And this was because of the heart defect, so she was quite sick, and she had her surgery relatively fast. But her recovery in the hospital took a long time. They knew it was going to. But to see her when she was going home, she picked up her own suitcase and walked out to the minibus. And I mean, things like that are amazing. It's very nice to see. When she arrived, she was barely able to walk.
So you see the young children coming in with their ailments, and you see them going home without it anymore.
Yeah.
That's got to be a very exciting. That's why you've been here for so long, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say, oh, is it not terrible when they go home? Are you not very sad? But Actually, no, it's so nice to see them going home with big smiles on their face. Healthy.
And active.
Yeah, and also, you know, they get all dressed up when they're going to the airport, and the little girls from Tanzania and Zanzibar have their eyeliner on.
Oh, do they?
Oh, yeah, it's quite amazing, and their eyebrows done.
Okay.
And everybody goes all dressed
Very
to the
special
airport.
occasion.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the playground right now, and I see that there's laundry over there for the families. That there's a beautiful sunny day here in just in Halan, outside of Tel Aviv.
Actually, in February, we moved into this brand new building 4 years ago. It was purpose-built for our needs, so we have a great kitchen area, which is big enough, to, you know, for the mothers, all the mothers to cook and to
Cook their own food.
Yeah, to do what they need to do in the kitchen. We have a laundry room. We have 2 floors. I can accommodate up to 60 people, but it's not 60 children, it's 60 people. That includes the mothers. So at the minute we have a full house. Like I said, children will be going home this week, and in the beginning of February I have a large group arriving from Zanzibar, so I'm already starting to think ahead. We're all the time preparing for children going, but also preparing for children arriving.
Laura, before a new group comes in, and you have one coming in shortly, what do you have to do in order to prepare, say, for 22, the mothers, the children?
You know, have a look at the information on the group to see exactly who's coming, how many mothers there would be, how many children without a mother. And then we arrange who's going to be collecting the children and the mums from the airport. We all take turns in the office. And then with a doctor, and we go and meet them at the airport, and then if everybody's okay, we bring them directly here. If the doctor checks the children and he sees that someone's not doing so good, they would be taken directly to the hospital.
Right.
And then usually, you know, just making the arrangements even for 22 people to get to the hospital is, you know.
But they come and cook their own food in their own area as well, so you have to buy the food that you know that they would enjoy cooking.
We supply the basic food ingredients, which is chicken, rice, spaghetti, fruit, vegetables. They bring some of their own spices. And they pick also, we have some spices in the garden.
Okay.
But, I mean, a lot of the children, like in Ethiopia, they only eat chicken on a holiday.
Oh, I see.
You know,
you
know, they eat chicken every day here, and they eat fruit every day here. We had one boy from Zanzibar tell me after 3 days he really likes it here because he gets to eat, and he gets to eat on time, and he has enough food.
Oh, and that really is great for their recovery as well.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I think it's much better than hospital food, which they do not like at all.
Yeah.
And it's much better than if we had a catering company, because, you know, they won't eat hummus.
Right.
They're not used to things like that.
And the children here come from all kinds of faith backgrounds.
Yes.
Is that correct? I believe there's quite a few Christian families here from
Christian and Muslim families.
They're adorable.
It's very mixed.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
Up next, we visit Capernaum and learn about St. Peter's House.
Jerusalem cross was the 4 additional crosses. Custodia Terra Santa, that is pure Italian, I think.
Custody of the Holy Land.
Yes, that's right. Every story in the Holy Land starts with something that happened here. And how did they know where are the places? Because people back then used to write journals, and they used to paint places that they saw. And that's how visitors got the information. They didn't have Mr. Google, and they didn't have any other options. And that's how the information went from generation to generation. When people started coming to the Holy Land 300 years after Christ, or even after, they came to the right places because it was a word of mouth information. So this octagonal church from the basalt rocks from the 5th century was built around Jesus' room. And when I was taking my Christianity course a few years ago, the one proof that I can give you that indeed this was from the time of Jesus, was that this fence that surrounded the house is from the 1st century. So obviously when they were adding the modern church, it allowed people to look down and see the place where Jesus lived. So when you read, he left the synagogue and went to his home. We just walked the distance that he walked. Wow. Okay? All right. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can I say the final word just before we disperse and
Yes,
take
sir.
pictures? Wasn't it interesting that she mentioned, that Raquel mentioned, how the Jewish community and the Christian community were together, and they worshiped together. There wasn't this sense of back in those days of this separation. And friends, if you read Ephesians chapter 2, Ephesians chapter 3, that ultimately is the ultimate plan of God and redemption. That the Jewish community or the Jewish people with Gentile believers would become one to worship the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, or the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so when you consider that back then they were together, and unfortunately through the centuries, the Middle Ages in particular, you had Christendom, which is what came in. I really believe it was a spirit, it was a mindset where they saw the Jewish people as being not as important, and in fact separating from the Jewish roots of Christianity. And friends, that obviously has carried through the centuries. There are many churches, unfortunately, denominations, unfortunately, that have really become anti-Semitic because of what they've embraced called a replacement theology, which means, very simply, well, the Jewish people in Israel does no longer carry any significance. The church has now replaced Israel. I want to say to you that that is biblically incorrect, that a replacement theological perspective of the scriptures actually puts off kilter the very word of God. God's covenant with Israel was never revoked. God's covenant with Israel was never, ever stopped. He loves Israel. And when you consider that geopolitical Israel, the modern miracle of Israel today, when you consider that, that is a fulfillment of prophecy, and God's plan and purpose is for Israel, once again, as the centerpiece of end-time prophecy, is for Israel once again to take the stage along with the church. This is why Christians, those that love Yeshua, followers of Yeshua, you can't be a follower of Yeshua and not love the Jewish people and love Israel, the land of the Bible. You can't. I'm telling you right now. But I'm saying to you very clearly that the day will come, and it's seemingly right now appearing in Canada, where a plumb line is being drawn. Those that understand the role and the place of Israel, and those that will just embrace or move into a full embracing of replacement theology. And friends, I hope that you will never, ever embrace that thinking.
Up next, we meet ICEJ Canada reps Morgan and Diane Sharp.
Hi, I'm Morgan Sharp.
And I'm Diane Rodland Sharp. This has been quite a journey for us. We sort of feel as though we've been on a journey that we really haven't directed ourselves. I think it started with me back with my dad being in the war. And I remember the slogan that that sort of went on through the years afterwards, and it was never forget, never forget, never again. That was it. And so through the years as a child, I saw the pictures of the Holocaust, and it was unbelievable to me that people would go through what they did. And I never dreamt that I would have an opportunity to meet any of those people or to have any kind of a hand in blessing them in any way. But we went to Israel last year with ICEJ for the first time. And we had our eyes open to so much, and it was so amazing to be in the land, as they call it. And one of the wonderful things to me was going to the home for Holocaust survivors and meeting some of those people and just wanting to hug every one of them. But then we were asked to be reps, and we went back to our hotel that night and we thought about it and went to bed, went to sleep, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened, or I just woke up, and I think I was awakened. And I remembered a prophecy that had been spoken over me in 2006. And the prophecy was that I would become an ambassador to the nations. And at the time, I just thought, what's that? How's that ever going to happen? And just sort of tucked it into the back of my brain where I didn't think I would ever be pulling it out. But that was brought back to my mind, and I thought, an ambassador to the nations. Well, that's what a rep is for ICEJ. It's representing Christians or representing Israel to the Christian world. And so we have become reps, and it's a wonderful honor.
And love it. I've sung those words, comfort ye my people. Being a professional tenor for some years, I sang with orchestras here in Canada, and as a tenor sings in the Elijah, comfort ye my people. And so for many years in my 20s and 30s, I sang these things, and I don't think I had the compassion that I feel now for Israel. It's so important to me that we help Israel to become the nation that they want to be. I find that I love the nation. If I said to Diane on the 150 Ways tour last January 2018 that if I were 50, I would move here. I read that book, Startup, and how the nation is gifted and how it's brought so many startup companies to the NASDAQ. It's wonderful, and I respect them, admire them, and love them.
And we just want to bless Israel, and we're thankful for the opportunity to be with a group who is doing just that.
And I want to introduce people to other people who perhaps don't feel the way we do, Diane? To this thing where they can understand who Israel really is, and appreciate the nation too.
We conclude our program today with some sights and sounds within Israel. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to visit our website at www.icejcanada.tv or call us at 1-866-324-9133. And for our Canadian residents, you can ask for your free Canada-Israel pin. Through your contribution to ICEJ Canada, you can participate by giving to Haifa Home for Holocaust Survivors, Women at Risk Red Carpet Project, Operation Life Shield, Bomb-Proof Shelters, Mentoring Program, Alias Support, Children's Projects, Israel in Crisis, Israel Aid, Magan David Adom Emergency Services, Christian Friends of Yad Vashem, Scholarship Program for Young Adult Leaders, ICEJ Canada Media, Gift to State Security Funds. Celebrate Prepare the Way Feast of Tabernacles, ICEJ's 40th anniversary in Jerusalem this year. Join ICEJ Canada for the following options. Option 1, celebrate Prepare the Way Feast of Tabernacles in Jerusalem, September 30th to October 9th. Opening night in Engedi, Garden Tomb, Communion. Join Canadians in the Jerusalem March. Hear world-renowned speakers. Special dedication of a bomb shelter in the Galilee. Or join us for Option 2, the 40th Anniversary Tour, October 6th to the 14th. Experience Caesarea, Mount Carmel, Galilee Boat Ride, Capernaum, the Golan Heights, Nazareth, the Dead Sea, Jerusalem, and so much more. You can choose to join us for the first week, September 30th to October 9th, for the Feast of Tabernacles celebration and activities in Jerusalem, or second week of touring, October 6th to the 14th, or best of all, both weeks. Contact us now for details while there is still space at info@icejcanada.org or call 1-866-324-9133. Join ICEJ Canada this year in Israel.